Now, scripted losses are one of the most hated video game cliches. The game puts you into an unwinnable fight so that when you lose, it can show you how awesome and powerful the big bad boss is. But the thing is, despite how much video games like to stack the odds against you in such situations, some of these unbeatable bosses can actually be defeated. Sometimes even when you do, the game will still make you lose and do so in a rather unique way. So let's have a chat about them, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video game bosses who kill you for being too good. Number 10. General Beatrix, Final Fantasy IX. General Beatrix is a powerful member of the all-female army of the Kingdom of Alexandria from Final Fantasy IX and a reoccurring boss that you have to fight multiple times throughout the game. Although you have to fight her a lot, and she even joins your party temporarily, all of the boss fights against Beatrix are actually unwinnable. The General will always prove to be too strong for your party and completely destroy you with her obnoxiously high stats. But hey, you might try and grind before the fight and boost your characters to the point where they should be able to match her strength. If that's the case, then surely you should be able to defeat her, right? Well, no, it turns out that even if you can go head-to-head with Beatrix, the warrior has a special last resort attack that she can use to instantly wipe out your entire party. The ability cannot be avoided, and it always happens when the game notices that you're getting a little too close to lowering her health, meaning that even when you're the best Final Fantasy IX player, there's no beating Beatrix. The General has something far better than plot armor, and that is a plot superweapon. Number 9. Genichiro Ashina, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, Genichiro Ashina serves as the primary antagonist of Sekiro's Shadows Die Twice, being both the personal nemesis of your character and the one who sets forth the main plot of the game by kidnapping the young prince under your protection. But let's be honest, the real reason why you hate this guy is because he cuts your hand off in the intro battle, which unfortunately always has the same outcome. The first fight with him is infamously difficult, as you're canonically meant to lose it. This said, with enough skill, it's actually possible to drop his health faster than he does yours, but unfortunately, this only leads to a different cutscene of your loss. Now, normally when he wins, he cuts your hand off at the end of the battle, but if you manage to defeat him, in the cutscene he'll be on his knees, and it will actually be one of his personal assassins who takes your skilled sword-wielding appendage. Well, it's nice that the developers included a special cutscene for those who beat the odds, but at the same time, why does this loss feel even more brutal when you're clearly better? That cheating bastard couldn't even be bothered to personally cut off your hand, and that is just insulting. Number 8. Towpie, Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure is exactly like every other Dragon Ball game. You play as Saiyans fighting other Saiyans, and most of the fun of the game comes from taking on increasingly more powerful opponents, even though there's one character you're simply not meant to defeat, like, ever. Towpie, also known as Mercenary Tao, is a special boss that the player is meant to lose to. Your first fight with him is designed to be completely unfair, so that your loss against him can push forward the story. Because of this, the game doesn't give you any chances at getting an advantage over Tao, and he even has a special secret attack up his sleeve for those players who might get a little too close to victory. Fighting the mercenary long enough or lowering his health will cause him to whip out a special final blow blast that will instantly kill any character regardless of their stats. There's no way to defend against this attack, so the best thing to do in this situation is to look at the bright side and feel proud that the game's strongest boss had to resort to using his strongest attack on you to win. You made him use 100% of his power. Number 7. Z-Shielding Robot, Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush, the 2023 rhythm action game from Tango Gameworks, has quite a bit of fondness for fourth wall breaking. The game does it in several situations as a tongue-in-cheek explanation of something happening out of order or the player messing with the plot too much. In fact, one fourth wall break happened specifically to undermine your victory that wasn't meant to happen. In track 3 of the game, your character has to fight a special robot equipped with Z-Shielding. Because the shield can only be removed by another character that you haven't met yet, you're meant to lose this fight, giving them a reason to join your party. This said, after you beat the game once, you can unlock special New Game Plus mode that unlocks all of your companions right away. This means that you can use the special ability before you actually technically get to meet them in the story and beat the robot prematurely. Unfortunately, because your victory here breaks the game's narrative, the fight still ends with the same defeat cutscene. The only difference is that the developers give you a small meta comment praising your skills and apologizing for having to take your win away. Well, at least they acknowledge it, right? Number 6. Shinra's Defense Force, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Final Fantasy Crisis Core is meant to tell the tragic story of Cloud's friend Zack, which culminates in him fighting a hopeless fight with 1,000 soldiers of the Shinra Defense Force. Except the fight isn't actually as hopeless as it should be. The final fight with the soldiers is meant to be unwinnable, but In reality, if you finished most of the side content and leveled up your character sufficiently, taking on all 1,000 soldiers is actually a walk in the park. The only problem is, the game doesn't actually let you finish it. Yes, in the original 2007 Crisis Core, defeating all 1,000 soldiers was actually possible, but it still showed Zack dying in a cutscene. Because the scripted death caused an outrage amongst the players, the 2022 remake opted for simply just not letting you finish the fight. If you do a little too well killing the waves of soldiers approaching you, the game will fade to black after a while and show a cutscene where Zack gets tired from the fight and simply lets the army defeat him. The failsafe, or rather success save, makes sense from a narrative standpoint, but come on, at least give the skilled players a chance to go down fighting. Number 5. Koden Khan, Ghost of Tsushima. Koden Khan is the main antagonist of Ghost of Tsushima, a ruthless leader of the Mongol invasion of Japan who you have to personally fight in a duel at the very beginning of the game. The fight and its aftermath are crucial to the game's story. You're meant to lose it, as your loss here is what causes you to become the titular Ghost of Tsushima, so the game purposefully makes Koden Khan an incredibly difficult opponent. However, if you're skilled enough to take him on in close combat, you can discover that calling Koden Khan incredibly difficult isn't just accurate, he's genuinely impossible to kill. Yes, even if you manage to bring his health down to 0, it turns out that his health bar won't actually drop after a certain point. Yes, that's right, if you manage to take his health bar down close to 0, it turns out that his health bar won't actually drop after a certain point. The man is simply unkillable, and so he gets to defeat skilled players in the worst possible way, by making them purposefully throw themselves at his sword. It's one thing to be beaten in a fight that's generally considered to be hard to win, but to have to throw it because the boss won't let you win? Well, let's just say that Koden Khan definitely deserves what's coming to him in the end. Number 4. Ambushing Bandits. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain is an old-school action-adventure game that doesn't really care much about things like fair play and respecting the player. If you think the above comment is unjustified, then just keep in mind that the game puts you into an unwinnable fight right at the beginning of the story, and if you somehow survive, it'll force you to die anyways. In the game's intro, when you're leaving the starting tavern, you're immediately attacked by a gang of thugs who are meant to take you down and set forth the rest of the story. However, although the fight is deliberately stacked against you, you can be lucky enough to strike out all of the thugs and kill them entirely. When this happens, you would assume that the game would have some sort of alternate resolution for the ambush, or perhaps a different enemy that could defeat you in place of the thugs. But no, if you kill the attacking thugs, the game just spawns more of them out of nowhere until you're dead. Well, apparently if the player is too good, the best thing to do is spawn an unreasonably huge army of criminals to even out the odds. Number 3. Emperor. Baldur's Gate 3. One of the bigger reveals in Baldur's Gate 3 is that the mysterious guardian who appears in your character's dreams and protects you from transforming into a mind flayer is actually a mind flayer themselves. The mind flayer, called the Emperor, reveals his true identity to you when his dwelling inside the mysterious artifact is attacked by monks. And although he asks you to help him fend them off, you may choose not to trust him and end up fighting both parties at the same time. The fight here is significantly harder this way, as the monks pose a serious threat even when you're normally backed by your tentacled ally. However, just because you have to be better to succeed here, it doesn't mean that there's a better outcome. In fact, the game will kill you if you manage to defeat everyone. Once the monks and the Emperor lie dead, the Mind Flayer will then tell you with his final breath that without him, there's no one that can use the artifact's power to prevent your transformation. Indeed, shortly after he expires, you get a cutscene where the Elder Brain overwhelms your mind and turns you into an octopus monster. Well, so much for being better, right? Number 2. Demon X. Lisa the Painful. Now, Lisa the Painful is by no means a fair game, and yet this doesn't stop it from punishing you even when you somehow manage to beat the odds by pulling off a few unfair tricks yourself. One of the strongest bosses in the game is Demon X, a raider masquerading as a Power Rangers villain to humor the masked hero's in-game knockoffs. Although Demon X is playing pretend, you can force him to fight you, causing him to stop pulling his punches and show you his full might, which, to put simply, is impossibly great. Because of his unreasonably high health and attack, you're not meant to win this fight, but if you know how to exploit poison damage, it is actually possible to drop Demon X's health to 0 before he does the same. This said, even if you do somehow manage to win, Demon X will simply call you a cheater and use a special attack that insta-kills your entire squad in one hit anyway. You can't win against him no matter what. But on the other hand, you can still tilt the strongest enemy in the game so much that he has to call you a cheater, so spiteful satisfaction for the win, right? And number 1, Heldelf. Tales of Zesteria. Heldelf is the main villain of the RPG Tales of Zesteria. He's a human general turned all-powerful demon who you have to fight several times throughout the story, and because he's an incredibly powerful guy, the game expects you to lose to him in the first time you fight. However, it is possible to defeat him instead, but be warned, this will cause you to lose the game even faster. Because yes, if you prove to be too powerful for the main villain, he'll still go on to conquer the world anyway. Defeating him early triggers a special cutscene where Heldelf's corrupt power is unleashed, and because because you don't have the powers you need to contain it yet, the villain actually gets to win earlier than usual. Although you're strong enough to defeat him, unless you progress through the story far enough to get the necessary plot powers, beating Heldalf here only makes his job easier. But this begs the question, however, if losing causes his beloved calamity to happen, why wouldn't he just throw the fight from the start? And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video game bosses who kill you for being too good. I hope you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Blue Sky, where I'm at RetroJ, but the O is a 0. Hope that you're treating yourself well with love and respect, my friends, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.